Hello, my friend. In this video today, we're going to talk about shifting through your fears in order to connect with whatever it is you are most passionate about and start living it in reality here and now. So, I'm Danielle Lynn, and you're on Soul Alchemy with Danielle Lynn. Now, Soul Alchemy is the process of shifting your perspectives, shifting your energy, as in alchemy, so that you can experience the kind of realities that you want to experience most. Our lives are our laboratory, and we get to experiment and experience just about anything it is that we truly would like to, if you're imaginative enough. So, in today's episode, we're going to dive in a bit, like I said, to the experience of transmuting your fears and really starting to step into what your passions are. Now, many of us have experienced this sort of passion block at one point or another. And this is not an uncommon thing. Most of the times when we don't have a clear sense for what our passion is, it's because on some level or another, we're not allowing ourselves to really tune in to what that passion is. Now, a lot of times that boils down to fear. It may be that on some level we don't believe we have the skills or the tools necessary, or that we won't get the support that we need. We may have reached for our passions before, maybe at a young age, and maybe we had very discouraging experiences. A lot of times, perceived blocks to our passion come in the form of inner resistance, or sort of hiding it from ourselves as a way of attempting to protect or safeguard ourselves. Sometimes we actually have, they might call it programs, right? Parts of ourselves that we have subconsciously programmed, habits that we have subconsciously programmed in order to protect ourselves. So when you come along resistance, really what you're experiencing is you are coming across the pressure of holding multiple wants or multiple perspectives at the same time. On one hand, there is the want to move forward with the desire to uncover it, to experience it and bring it in reality. On the other hand, you may be pressing up against, as we said, an old resistance, a program, a part of you that is intending to help you, a part of you that has been put into place perhaps to keep yourself safe at one point or another. And when we're not aware that we're subconsciously running a program like that, we can experience that resistance with a lot of annoyance. We can even begin to resist the resistance. And really all that does is wears us down, right? Because that's like trying to press the gas and the brakes at the same time energetically. So I'm going to share a few perspectives. Try them out if they feel good to you. They've actually helped me at certain times in my life where I felt resistance to the process. So here we go. One of the first things is when you're experiencing resistance to something, experiment with embracing or accepting the resistance. Experiment with befriending the resistance. Now, I know that this is kind of it can be a bit of a challenging prospect, right? You're like, oh my gosh, the resistance is really not feeling like my friend. However, the process of meeting the resistance with, at the very least, neutrality, at the very least, curiosity, is the actual alchemy, which you are shifting the energy, the encounter, from one where you just keep slamming on the brakes more and more and more to where you're doing something a little different with it. Our whole process of soul alchemy, of life alchemy, is about meeting the experiments of our life with curiosity. If we have tried to meet resistance with resistance and we're not liking the outcome, the next logical step is to meet it with a new kind of experience or curiosity. And the reason I love curiosity so much is curiosity itself is a portal. It's a window into new ways of looking at things. And the more we develop the habit of curiosity, the more we naturally can meet almost any kind of experience in life with the ability to shift your perspective around it. It's like it allows you to be a little bit fluid around it. Now, that's not to say you're never going to feel frustration or pain or annoyance or what have you, but it becomes, the more it's a habit, the more it becomes shorthand for you, and the more that you're going to more, let's just say quickly, be able to approach life from a way that you're probably going to find more enjoyable, because you're going to be able to start shifting, and instead of being constantly jamming this way, you're going to be able to start looking at things from other places, right? Finding new perspectives and new ways to go through, or around, or under, or merge. This is the fun of alchemy. So, first step with resistance, that curiosity, that acceptance of it. The next thing is to start to recognize that whatever resistance is in place, it is an aspect of you. It's not your enemy. It is part of you. It is likely something that has been placed there consciously or unconsciously by you at some point in your life as a tool to help you through a certain segment of your life. Again, likely during childhood, likely during some phase in your life where you didn't have any other tools to meet a challenge or something. So you built a kind of protector, you built a program, you built something to help you when this kind of situation came up. And so now that you are trying to proceed, the warning lights are coming off. It's engaging. It's really just trying to work with you on some level. But when you're meeting it with non-resistance, we can start interfacing it with new ways. We can start communicating. We can get curious. And this is a new way of interacting with yourself, because now you're approaching it, again, to use the word, as the alchemist in the laboratory, not as the person being inflicted upon, not as the confused person, not as the like, oh my gosh, why won't this work person. You're the scientist, you're the alchemist. You're like, okay, what's in front of me? This is an interesting response or reaction. When this goes with this, it goes like this. Interesting. What happens if I do this? And so forth. This view, I'm bringing up the Alchemist Lab, this view is such a useful perspective for us to take into our lives around resistance, around anything else that we feel is slowing us down, because it gives us access to that wider perspective. So the first step is curiosity and non-resistance. The second step is befriending, being aware, maybe even asking that programming where it's come from. You may or may not get an answer. You may or may not know. But one of the next steps is to go ahead and let yourself, all parts of yourself, know, hey, I'm ready. Whatever this fear this was protecting me from, whatever feeling this was protecting me from, I'm ready. I'm in a new place right now. And the desire I have to embody this part of myself is so much greater than this fear that's emerging for me right now. And so I'm ready. I'm ready to see. I'm ready to be. I'm ready to experience. And you're not only declaring this, to these aspects of yourself, you're claiming it for yourself, because you see the next step. And usually what ends up happening is when we go through this process, on some level, we are facing some kind of deep-seated fear, something that maybe is unresolved, something that is potentially scary to face. And as an example, for myself, I had been experiencing a pretty hard, just a series of really challenging months, and I was feeling this pain around it, and it was so hard for me to grasp where this was quite coming from, until something snapped into place, and I realized on some level I had this pain that if I couldn't sort this out, if I couldn't figure this out, then I wouldn't be able to help teach reality shifting in the way that I thought was really, and I felt is really my life calling. But then when I step back into the perspective of the Alchemist Lab, and you understand that any kind of scientist, any kind of alchemist, well, sometimes they may go back to a formula. They may rework it again. They may look at it again and again and again. And I had been stuck in this resistance pattern because I didn't want to look at this potential fear of what if I couldn't figure out the formula. But when I came at it from the perspective of, well, it's okay if this formula wasn't quite figured out, or it's okay if we go back to the drawing board, because we're in the lab and that's part of the process of coming back to it and experimenting again and again, then my subconscious fear moved from being like this mountain that couldn't be surmounted, I didn't want to look at, to just an observation of, oh, this is just part of the journey. And seeing it allowed a rush of energy to re-enter my life, because no longer was I getting stuck in a loop of not wanting to engage something that would be so devastating to me. Instead, I had a new perspective around, oh, yeah, I wasn't letting myself see this, but now that I see this, there's so many solutions around this, because at the end of the day, the goal is, for myself anyway, to have my life be this laboratory in which I'm experiencing and embodying, and I can continue to not only live my life, but share my journey in meaningful ways, in ways that feel, well, not only fun and inspiring for me to share, but then I know on some level is really facilitating and helping someone. So I also want to take a moment to appreciate you for being part of this joint journey and adventure with me. We create this together, just as we all do in this really cool experience of life. So bringing it back to you exploring your passion, bringing it back to you shifting with the curiosity and resistance, talking to the parts of yourself, being willing to experience and listen to any fear story that comes up. It's never about trying to change it or fix it. It's just about giving yourself enough permission to see it. And in the seeing of it, so many bits of clarity fall into place for you. It is an automatic experience. And let's just say you go through it and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not having the automatic experience. That's okay too. Then perhaps sit more deeply in the unknowing. Allow it to reveal itself to you. So I hope that this first bit of perspective was very helpful to you during this point in your journey. We're at a time where all of us are being so invited to step forward in such meaningful ways in our life, in our visions, in our realities. And I hope for you on every single level that you give yourself permission to leap forward in all those ways that are joyful to you. Thank you for connecting today. And if this video was helpful, I would invite you to like and subscribe. If you would like more resources, if you'd like to connect with me, I have added some links in the description below. I look forward to connecting again next time.